another episode of Totally Detailed with Stuart Elliott from SGE Detailing in Ireland. How are you doing, Stuart?
I'm good, Richard. How's things?
Yeah, absolutely perfect. So what's the weather like over there at the moment? At the moment, tonight, it is pouring down with rain.
We got that this afternoon.
Oh, did you?
It was an okay day up until a point. Yesterday was one of those windy, on-off, rainy sort of days, and I thought, great, Monday's not going to be any better. But this morning, up until sort of mid-afternoon, it was fine.
Yeah.
And it started raining, when you're on to doing interiors, pull the car inside job.
Yeah. It's never good. But thanks for sending the weather this way, by the way.
Oh, so you're welcome.
One of those things. But no, it's I think we've especially this last week just gone, obviously with these storms and things. I mean, how did you get on with that? I mean, we've been absolutely battered with rain. I mean, the flooding we've had has been unbelievable.
Well, not so bad with flooding. We had pretty heavy wind. Fair bit of damage, not to me or my property or anything, but just trees down. And there probably was flooding maybe across the country in bits, but we had all kinds of weather throughout the week there. Snow, rain, sleet, sunshine, it all came all in one go.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, obviously I went to the airport, to Manchester Airport last Saturday. And when we got sort of like right across the M62 and we're at the sort of it's the highest motorway in England. On the moor there, the Saddleworth Moor, where all the sort of murders and things took place. We're going over there and it just starts to snow. And I'm thinking, this is not a good sign for this to be snowing right now. And the further and further I got to Manchester, it got heavier and heavier. And in the end, I said to Caroline, we're going to have a quick lunch and I'm heading back home, because the last thing I want is to get stuck with an automatic car on the
my wife has the same. Well, say my wife, we're not just married quite yet, but not for want of trying these days, but COVID threw a spanner in the works. She's the same. She's rear-wheel drive Mercedes, doesn't want to drive it. So I have a Range Rover and she's been driving it. I'm complaining horrendously about how much diesel she has to put in it.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I mean, by the time we came back, the whole of the M62 motorway, all three lanes were just covered in snow. And I'm like, geez, thankfully we got through it. But then we had it was snowing all the way back because it's a 2.5 hour journey. So it was snowing all the way back. And then we had nothing but rain for several days after that. And the flooding was terrible. And then I think it was Thursday. I'm sat in the office in the front reception area, just doing something, got up, went to walk through into the detailing centre and just sort of opened the door and just looked back like that outside. And it was a blizzard. And we had glorious sunshine. And what I thought was rain I could hear on the factory roof. I looked out and it's this full-blown bloody blizzard. And we'd had...
I think we skipped the worst of that now.
Unreal.
Out the west of the country, it was probably a little worse. I had cause to be up that way sort of early on in the week.
And
I thought, typical, when I've got to go there, it's going to snow. And that's exactly what it did. But it wasn't that bad. The main roads and all were okay. It was just where else was a bit white.
So definitely been challenging times for sure, definitely. So obviously we're here about detailing in your business, SGE Detailing. How long have you been in the industry?
Just coming up to 2 years probably now. But probably like most people, one of those things, you start off when you're a kid, just washing your dad's car, blah blah blah. So I've always been doing car cleaning of some description forever. I'm like in the late 40s now, so it's been going on for quite a while. However, doing it as a business was always just a little sideline. It was just something for a bit of extra cash in your pocket for a long time. Friends, family, the usual. And then sort of 2020, I think it was, just my partner said, this is what you enjoy doing. You should maybe do it a little bit more seriously. And of course I agreed. I said, yeah, okay, you know. I know what it's like. It's, before you know it, there's a Facebook page, and there's uniforms, and there's all this stuff, and you're going, cracky, I could do with buying this, I could do with buying that, you know. And before you know it, you're thrown into it full on. Only I can't commit to it full on because I have a full-time job as well. And it's a job that I've been doing for 22 years now.
Wow.
And it's a job that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And giving it up, I would struggle greatly to do that, just because it's kind of like detailing. It's one of them things I enjoy doing, like every job when you have to work for somebody. The work's great, but maybe working for people isn't your ideal scenario, you know. But I'm just kind of in that sort of in-between mode at the minute as to how far on do I take the part-time detailing to get to that hurdle point where I take that jump, you know.
Yeah, it's obviously, I mean, it's like with a lot of things. It's I think a lot of people sort of struggle with that. I mean, it's like when we first started, and Carolyn, obviously my wife, she's obviously in the business now, and she wasn't at first, and she had that full-time job, and it was always, when do we take that leap to sort of get her pulled out and we lose that income? And it's trying to get that fine balance of where that's going to be, because in reality you're not really losing the income, because the benefit that she did to the business far outweighed what she was giving up as an employment. You know what I mean? So it, as daft as it may sound, we wished we'd done it a lot sooner. And it's a lot of the time is just, it's having the sort of balls to sort of do that. It's having that confidence in yourself, and having that sort of, you've got to go with your gut feeling with it though. But it's having that confidence in yourself to do this, and you can do it. It's just having that confidence there and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. But then when you do it, it's having that very clear, focused mind. But what I would say to you with that is have like a roadmap of where you're going to go with the business. Have that vision, have it written down before you do that, and plan and have this planned into like a routine of how that's going to be. And have a storyboard, create this storyboard so that you can do that, and little, almost like back to school, create like little pictures on the storyboard of where you're going to go and where you're going to take the business and how long that's going to take you to get there. Then you can plan your finances and know then, way before you quit your job, if you decided to ever do that, if you sort of went down that route, and it might be years before you do that, you may never do it, you might be still very happy with doing what you're doing and think, you know what, I'm very happy with this is how I want to do it, and then create that working balance with what you're doing with home life. And do you have kids?
Yes, I have a young fella who's just coming 18 this year.
All right.
And my partner, she has 4 girls of her own, but they're all grown up, bar one. So there's only one of them lives with us. She's only 11. So but my partner, she's big into she's a social worker. That's her. But she's big into she does sales of Herbal Life nutrition. Loves this. This is she loves this, everything's all about the social media and all that kind of stuff.
It's in the social media to get it right as well, without going over the top with explaining it, so that then when people come and see you or ask you things, they suddenly think, that didn't ring true. You've got to get that again. It's creating that balance. But I mean, the Herbal Life thing, it's something sort of, it's that powerful concept, isn't it, with how it all works and the social media side. I mean, I've heard of Herbal Life. I think everybody has.
Well, and it's something that she got into sort of probably July time last year, and she kind of thought, I quite like taking the products. I'm not really bothered about the sales side of, and
then you get hooked.
Well, her goal was, if I can sell enough to get me her products for a 50% reduced cost, that was her goal.
Yep.
Just kept going and going and going. And now she's like, I need to get away up here. I need to be giving up my job at some point so I could just. And I'm like, yeah, well, I would like to do that too at some point, but I just don't have the time at the minute.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, you see, you know, your partner had that vision of where she wanted to go, and this is what I was saying to you about the detailing side. Create that vision and write it down. You know, it's like us. You know, when we first began, I mean, we were a detailing company when we first began. You know, back when I was 14, I'm 53 now. So it started a long time ago. You know, when I sort of did detailing, it was before anybody really knew what detailing was. You know, nobody really knew what detailing was in England back in like 1984. You know, they'd never heard of it. And that's what we were doing then, you know, and I had this vision that when we started, I wanted to have, or I called it a valeting company back then, you know, I wanted to have a valeting company in every country of the world. That was my vision. And we haven't done it with the valeting, but we have in a roundabout way, because we've done it with the leather, which is still interior. So theoretically, we've done it. We've just changed our roadmap, you know, and our sort of vision as to where we were going with it. And that's all we've done over those years. You know, we've stayed focused on what we wanted to achieve, which was to achieve this worldwide network. And we've got it with the leather, you know, rather than polishing and coating cars. It's the same thing, you know, we're coating interiors and repairing them instead, you know, and that's exactly what we're doing. And so we've kept that same vision from a very, you know, from like 30 odd years ago, you know, we've kept that same vision. And that's exactly what we've done. And that's what you've got to do, is to create that vision, create that storyboard and work that roadmap, you know, and anything you need help with like that, you know, inbox me. There's people that can help. There's loads of guys out there that can help with that sort of thing. I see is it you IDA as well? Is that IDA? Yeah. Yep. Same here. So, I mean, there's plenty of resources there on the IDA website as well. You know, they've got like business plans you can get and download, like a free business plan. I know it's a bit difficult to find some of the stuff on there, but it is on there. If you look in, you can find the business plan. There's all sorts of business models you can download, and these are blanks as well. So you can sort of just download them as often as you want and input the details and just see what you get out of it. You know, there's like financial planning blank things. There's all sorts of help you can get on there, and there's plenty of guys out there that'll help you. And you know, we're always there. I mean, you know, we know a fair bit. We don't know everything. It's like we learn every day, but you know, and it's the same with anything. It's what life's about. But do you sort of do mobile detailing?
I try not to. I can do, but to be fair, I try to mostly just stay at my garage is at home, so I try to just get people to come to me, and 9 times out of 10 they're more than happy to do that, you know. So most of my clients would be fairly local to me. You know, within maybe a 5-mile radius or so. So it's never an issue. And if somebody wants to come and leave their car here and they want to lift, well, so be it. I'll run them back home or whatever. But it's mobile's okay, but I would prefer not to, just, you know, because there's quite a lot of other guys around just doing the same thing, you know, and I would much prefer to be in the one place just.
Oh. Yeah, then I mean, you've got all the tools there, haven't you? It's like, I mean, we get it with people asking if we can go and do training in different locations and stuff. I mean, it's like we get a lot of guys that want us to go and train in Ireland, and I mean, we will do it. And it's just every time we sort of try to get it sorted out and organised, we get a place sorted, and then we then contact everybody and say, right, this is the date. Can you pay us? And all of a sudden they go quiet. They don't want to pay. So it's like
that.
Sorry.
Imagine that.
Oh, I know, exactly. It's like, oh, we're not going to train you for free, guys. You know, it's we've got to come over and do all these things, but you're more than welcome to come to England and pay. And it's like, oh, no. So, but yeah, I mean, again, you're out of your comfort zone. That's the thing. You know, you've got everything in you, in your surroundings, and you know, if something goes wrong, you've got it there to hand. You know, if somebody asks a certain question, like with us with training, if someone asks a certain question, you've got all those things. I've got them all there at my fingertips. You know, and it's like if you go out on the road, you can bet your bottom dollar there's something you've not taken with you that you've got to do that you couldn't have imagined to be on that vehicle. Do you know what I mean? So it's
100%. Or the opposite. You take far too much stuff and you've no room for it all, and you end up never using half of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or something again gets damaged because you're trying to lug it around and do stuff. So you know, it just makes it very, very difficult. And you know, if you don't have a dedicated van and you're trying to work out your own vehicle for that as well, you know, it just makes it so hard. You know, to sort of do that. obviously with your daytime job, what is it you do out of interest?
I'm a service engineer for a healthcare company.
All right.
So
okay.
my daily job is service and repair of hospital bed equipment or therapy bedding or hoists, anything like that. So you can imagine that's quite a busy job all the time.
Yeah.
Especially through the last 2 years with COVID. Hospitals and places just can't get enough equipment, and they were just going mad for stuff, for no real reason. Like we had one of our local hospitals ordered 200 new beds. They'd literally just taken delivery of 900 beds, and they wanted 200 more.
Wow.
And we were, where are you going to put them? And they were like, it's okay, we'll just put them into storage for the time being. And we said, well, they won't be the same bed that you have. They'll have to be, funny enough, brought in from China. And they purchased 200 of the Chinese beds, and they didn't leave storage until about 2 months ago. So they ordered them for a pandemic and never used them. It was just not a waste of money, but it was certainly a big outlay for something they didn't really require. But we worked the whole way through. There was no rest for the wicked as far as COVID was concerned. We just had to go on. And the only thing that really went on hold was like servicing of equipment in community addresses, people's homes. The hospital trusts didn't really want you having to go into people's houses if they could avoid that. So we were more doing reactive calls to things like, so it was just if there was something broke down, it was an emergency call out then. So I had to go to it. So it meant everybody was still in work. Everybody was still doing their thing the whole time, and that's something I've been doing for the last 22 years.
Wow.
And kind of fell into that. I worked for Auto Trader before that. So it was something completely, but not what I'm trained in. I'm trained as a furniture sprayer. I used to trade in pine furniture. I would spray and hand wax pine furniture, and then I moved on to work in a guitar factory, spraying the guitars.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, mate.
And I've always had a sideline too. I previously had a sideline of I used to be in a Blues Brothers tribute band.
All right.
Ensemble. You can find that on YouTube as well. Counterfeit Blues Brothers.
Right, excellent. So do you ever still sort of get involved with that side of it, with the Blues Brothers side of things?
No, I retired from that in about 2014. I haven't done any of that since. Might partake in the odd karaoke the odd time maybe, but that was
I can say you're sort of tempted to sort of rekindle it. And
no, not really. Do you know what?
Older.
From I was about 19. I had always been in a band as a sideline, whether it be just doing cover material or the Blues Brothers tribute, whatever. I've always done that. And when you're doing it, it's great, and there's extra money in your pocket and whatever else. But then when it becomes a lot, maybe 5 nights, 6 nights a week, then you start to get a bit fed up with it, and then so maybe you stop for a while, and then you start to miss it again. You're like, oh, back into that. It's like a revolving door all the time, But since 2014, I've not done anything, and I don't really miss it at the minute, to be honest. So it's got my new sideline.
So you're the singing detailer?
Well, no, I wouldn't even say I was a singer, to be fair.
So that could be an interesting sort of little marketing trick for you there,
no, you wouldn't want to hear it.
I'd glad to hear it.
No.
So obviously with the details, were you like self-taught, or have you taken courses with people, or?
A lot was self-taught, but I have done courses. So I've done Foundation Day, I've done Advanced Day with Mark Letty at Polish and Wax.
Mark Letty over there in Ireland, haven't you?
And I have done Ripes Bigfoot detailing specialist course with Alan Metcalf.
Yeah.
And so far, that's as far as it goes. Next thing is IDA, CD, SV, hopefully. So
So I've done my CD, and I think my SV is going to be my next sort of thing to look
right.
at.
Did you do your CD online just then?
Yeah, I did the CD online. Yeah, I mean, you can sort of do them. The only thing I would say with the CD is when you sort of get around to doing it is speak to other people first. Speak to Alan. There is a thing I've noticed coming up shortly where they're doing like an online thing. I know it's for somebody.
Yeah, Dave Reed's doing that. He does like an IDA call, but it's the training thing.
Yeah, Dave's doing like an IDA call thing, which is for like CDs and SVs. It's worth doing it because there's a lot of terminologies that's used on there that you've got to bear in mind is American terms, which is totally different to what is British English, Irish sort of terms. You just got to bear that in mind because there's a lot of silly things like scratches means swells, or I can't remember what it is, but it's silly things like that. And marring means swells in our country, and it means marring them, and it's things like that which can crop up and actually could cause you a problem where you could sort of fail that side of it. You've just got to understand and know what that is. So just bear that in mind when you come to it. It's worth taking those sort of like taster sort of things with Dave or with Alan when he does them, or whoever's going to do them. It's worth sort of taking them, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think I'm probably going to do the IDA day that Alan does, which is sort of the training for CD, and then do your CD and SV all in one day. He does all the background again for what you need for that.
Yeah, that's what I did with the SV, with the CD. Sorry, I just sat and just took the whole lot in one hit. I know some people sort of do 2 here and 2 there, and so on. I just literally just sat one night and just did the whole lot.
Yeah,
that was it. And did it that way. So yeah, I mean that's all I did with it. I just got it over and done with.
Yeah, I think that's maybe what I might do. It's just there's it's that kind of time of year where you're getting around to things, and there was a course. There's actually currently a course on now that Alan's doing with Mark Letty. I think they're at SB3 in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And I kind of fancy doing that. I thought I could maybe go over for at least 1 or 2 of those days, but just being tied down with work and I've said this to many people, and it's not difficult to explain, but all training is an investment. However, that investment generally comes out of my own pocket. It's not really coming out of a business account as such, because the business is just a small turnover really, and the money's not really set aside for big ticket training. So really for me to have gone to Glasgow for a couple of days, there's a flight there, a flight back, hotel stay, when you put it all together for a couple of days, it's well over £1,000 probably, and
it soon adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I thought it would have been good to go for the crack, but I might just wait until Alan comes over for a couple of days.
That's what you need. Yeah, you need Alan to come over, don't you, and do it.
So he's probably, I think he is over maybe June or sometime. I can't remember when it is, but I'll probably try and get onto that because he does the CDSV IDA day, they call it, and then he does his more than detailing like business day, which might be quite interesting to do, but it kind of generally throws 2 or 3 days all together. I think they do a repeat day and they do the more than detailing and then the IDA day. So if I can get at least maybe the IDA day, I'll be happy enough.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, be certainly be an interesting one anyway. I mean, with the business, obviously, and the training side of it, how important do you think it is that people get the right training and get continued training as well?
Yes, I think it's quite important. I think that probably sets you aside from Joe Bloggs around the corner just washing cars. And the whole reason for me joining the IDA was not for a recognition as such, but more for the community of it. As you know, working on your own all the time.
Yeah.
It's like me, myself, and I, and you're just listening to your own thoughts. And I thought, I went on to one of the IDA calls before I had joined, just because the first sort of main training day that I did, Alan had said about it, you should get onto the IDA, and, markets kind of pushed it a wee bit as well. And I thought, yeah, that sounds interesting to me. And I thought, well, I'll go on to one of these calls and I'll just listen in, see what all the guys have to say and what they all have to talk about. And it's you've been on the calls yourself, Richard. It's not even all talk about detailing. But it's like you're in a meeting just talking to your pals, even though you might not know any of these people. And my regular daytime job, I would probably spend most of my day on my own. So I've spent for the last 30 years driving around on my own with, and outside of work, I just don't really have much in the way of contact with people apart from being at home. Although what I would say is I find the detailing is a little bit of a mental escape for me. I'm happy in my own thoughts when I'm doing cars, and it just gets me away from just life and all the other stuff that's going on. It just kind of relaxes you a wee bit, even though you're probably stressed and get stuff done.
But that's it. Yeah, you sort of put your mind in that relaxed state, don't you? And you can you're focusing on that and just sort of forgetting the troubles of the world that's going on around you. And it almost sort of gives you that bit of relief for a while you're doing that, I suppose, with your sort of mental sort of side, thought side of things. But yeah, I mean, the community that's there on the calls and things with the IDA is absolutely fantastic. And I mean, it's one of the reasons why we came off almost every platform on Facebook, purely and simply because, and this was on a podcast I listened to recently, and it's like somebody was saying on there, how do you know that person that's giving you advice is the right person to give you the advice? Because they could be just Joe Bloggs down the road that just knows absolutely jack, and they could be telling you something and you could go and do that and then ruin that client's car, know? And so you've got to be very careful of the advice that you take on these things. And you're better off just reaching out to people and asking them, for, the advice from people that you can trust, and there's plenty of people out there that will help you if you just ask them. Some people are more than willing to help you with advice, and there's a whole community of people in the IDA. And I've sometimes found that, especially with the IDA portal, its own portal where you can go on. And I know a lot of people don't use this, and I know you're only marketing to other detailers. And obviously they're not your market. But the thing is, they can recommend you to people because detailers get work from all over the country. Because they get recognized by people that are searching online. They'll go to people. Now, if a detailer has seen you on the IDA platform, they might just say, you know what, this is the guy. You want Stuart because I know I can't do this because I'm like the other end of, I'm in Southern Ireland. You want this guy, and this is who you want because he's local to you. So they would recommend you. But I inbox people that's on that platform and talk to them and get advice and things from them. And then, and these are guys that I regard quite highly around the world, and that I would probably be frightened about just walking up in the street saying, "Can you help me?" But I've taken the plunge and just asked them, typed a message out and just asked them. And they're like, "Oh, we're more than welcome. So honored that you've asked me to help you." And I'm thinking, I'm honored that you want to help me. And they're like, no, honestly, trust me, Richard, we're honored that you've asked us to help you. And I'm thinking, wow, that was a bit of a relief. So
you're in shock.
These guys will help, you just got to ask them. And there's people out there to ask, for that help. You just don't be shy. There's people out there. To me, it's like I always say to guys when we're training them, the only question that's stupid is the one you don't ask. That's the stupid question. Or you don't. If you don't ask, you don't get. It's very simple. And at the end of the day, education. Education is knowledge. Knowledge is power, and you need as much education as you can all day long. All day.
I totally agree. And if you can avoid asking for stuff on the forums and those communities, as you know, all it takes is somebody to ask, what's the best snow foam? What's the best shampoo? And you literally get everybody going, oh, don't buy that one. That was terrible. Buy this one. And the only way to find out those things is buy the stuff yourself. Try it. Test it out. See if it's any good. There's stuff that I use probably that other people don't like.
Exactly.
And there's stuff that I don't like that other people like, and each to their own. Whatever works for you works.
Exactly. And I mean, everybody's different. I mean, we have products and people say to me, why the hell do you still use that? And this is like old school stuff. And I'm like, because it works for me and I love it. And they're like, Richard, technology moved on 20 years ago. And I'm like, but I can get the same result with this as what you can get with that.
Yeah.
Because I know how to use that and manipulate that to work on this paint, you know, and I love using that. And they're like, but that's old school. You get blathered in rubbish when you machine. I'm like, because you got to put water on. I'm like, but it works for me.
Yeah.
It works a treat. And I can work that better than I can this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and the range of stuff that's out there, there's so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Old product and new product, and technology's changing and whatever else. And
it does.
Everybody doesn't know everything, and but they would let on that they did. You know, it's like they can't admit to being wrong about things. You know,
Exactly.
Each to their own. As I say, you know, you've got to try these things for yourself. And do you know what? One of the things that I keep in my arsenal that I've always had from I was detailing cars from a kid, auto glim super resin polish.
Yeah,
you can't go without it.
It's amazing how many people do use it, to be fair.
Yeah, do you know what? If you just going along, you're doing a car and you're not even meant to be polishing it, but you see a wee bit and you go, nah, I'll maybe take that wee bit off. Boom, get the super resin polish out and away it goes. Job done.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how many people still use that and, you know, and like it and put it on, and, you know, and it does sort of bring back that little bit of a sparkle quite quickly. So yeah, it works.
Yeah,
works
brings back nostalgia too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it certainly helps. With the detailing industry, what do you think it's lacking?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
that is a really good question. It's hard to say. I think maybe some of the goals of what the IDA have in mind, you know, like to standardize the industry.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's possibly what a lot of it lacks. You know, you know, anybody can just start up and do it and be fully successful, fully committed to it without having ever done any training, and they're just carrying on, just doing their own thing, and that's well and good.
Yep.
Until the day something goes wrong.
Exactly.
You know, you machine polishing somebody's car and you burn through the paint, whatever. You know, and it's how do you deal with those things, and how do you contemplate things like that happening and whatever. So, yes, a standardized, some format of standardization, I think, would be beneficial. And if the IDA is looking at that and trying to get a system of work that everybody's up to that standard, you know, with the CDSV and whatever else, I think that's the way forward for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think if they can sort of get it to the point where it gets sort of like government backed as well, like gas safe, this sort of thing. If you get it to that point, then that's a real success. And I think it needs to get to that point, because I don't think people quite realize how difficult it is to be a detailer, how much skill you need to be a detailer, and what's involved with detailing. People think they can just go and buy a pound bucket from B&Q and then a sponge, a bit of fairy liquid, put it in a bucket with some water and slap it on a car, and all of a sudden they are a detailer. And that is what gives the industry its bad name. And people don't realize the amount of time that they invest in their training and their equipment, you know, and that, I think, is the sort of biggest problem that the industry faces. Is, you know, you've got guys out there that are doing things, you know, that doing it the right way, like yourself. You're getting the training, you're doing the right way. Yes, you're self-taught, but you've still got training that you've done, even though you were self-taught. You know, you're going through that training afterwards. You're not like putting on those blinkers and saying, I'm self-taught, I'm good at what I can do, I don't need anybody to train me. Technology changes so quickly, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
As you say, every day is a learning day. You know, there's always something comes up that you find and go, oh, here, never noticed that before. Or, you know, there's always something new, and every day is a school day for everyone.
Yeah, it is. And it's just knowing as well, you know, with different pads, you know, whether it's a wall pad or it's a microfiber pad or a foam pad, you know, open cell pad or whatever it is, it's knowing what products to use with it and what machine it goes on as well. You know, it's and that's the big thing, and that's where people make that mistake also. They just get a machine polisher, bang a pad on it, and start going away. And then the next thing you hear is they're screaming on social media, Christ, the pad ruined. I put it on the car and it ruined the pad within seconds. It ate it up and just chewed it and spat it out. What the hell's wrong? Now all of a sudden I've burnt through the paint on the car. I've ruined the customer's job. Your machine polish is useless. Your pad's rubbish. I'm going to take you to court. You know, you're a jerk, blah, blah, blah.
And that's purely from lack of training and, you know what you're doing. Like yesterday I had a car in that was in for an enhancement detail, and it was one of those ones where I started to struggle with it unexpectedly, you know, like really, really soft paint, butter soft. And, you know, I was correcting it and wiping it with the cloth, and that was leaving marring back in it again. And God, this is never going to end. You know, I thought, flip, I'm never getting through this. But then it was a case of just going through your pads, going through, you know, what do you use? What polish are you going to put on it? What compact? Or does it even need that? Could you do it with a finishing pad and a finishing, you know? And it's like the amount of times, if you're looking on some of the forums and whatnot, you know, you get people just going on saying, I'm going to machine my car. What pad and polish should I use? There's no answer to that. You know, the answer to that is, well, you need a range of pads and you need a range of polishes, and you need to start at the bottom and work your way up to see what's going to work for you. You can't just blitz it and see what happens, you know. And it's having an understanding of that. You know, people just don't realize that a lot of the time.
No, they don't.
See what happens.
Yeah, and I don't think they understand that, because they just think they can get like you say, can get a machine and just machine the car, and then, you know, nice sunny day comes along, and all of a sudden you just see, you know, the holograms, everything. You know, it's like, my God.
Yeah.
And animals attack the car, you know, and it's just, it actually does look like someone's gone mad on it. You know, there's been like serious murders taking place on the paintwork, and people don't understand the professionalism in that as well. And, you know, the sort of arsenal of equipment that you need. And like you say, the knowledge of knowing the pads to use, the chemicals to use, you know, what sort of products you're going to use. And it is trial and error, and it's testing, and that's why the industry needs this accreditation through it, you know, and to standardize it. And this is why I think training is so important, you know, the ongoing training, because technology is moving forward all the time with the types of foams and everything else, you know, and it's, and they've changed. I mean, the Rupes polishing pads have all changed recently. And again, I've got some of the old Rupes pads, I've got some of the new Rupes pads, and they're so different between the two. It is phenomenal how different they are. And it's, you know, and the amount of differences that they make in the processes of what I'm doing with cutting or whatever I'm doing or refining, it makes the whole job so different, you know? And that again is technology changing, and I've almost sort of had to go back to square one and relearn how to use the new pads. Because different process again, you know, almost different products with it.
The capability. And I'd be the same. You know, I have a range of the older Rupes pads. I've got the new they do the fine and the coarse pads, the combinations of the wool and microfiber and foam pads. And there's days I struggle with those, going, I don't know which one I want to use. You know, because I sort of prefer the older ones, but I want to be using the new one. And then a lot of the time I sort of just revert back to visor pads again, because I'm just used to those, you know.
Yeah, and it is what you're used to as well. It's like with everything. It's like we were saying earlier, you know, what works for you doesn't work for them, and vice versa, you know, and that's sort of how it sort of all works. And it's just creating that balance. And again, it's that knowledge, you know, that's what you're paying for your training for, you know, and it's building that knowledge, and it's having that knowledge where someone just walking in that, you know, one day they're a butcher, next day they're a detailer apparently, you know, and you can't do that, you know. You know, and that's sort of where the term butcher comes to its own, you know, when they grab a machine and start attacking someone's paintwork. You know, and it's just, you just can't do it. You know, it takes years of experience. I mean, I've done my business for 30 odd years and I'm still learning today. And technology changes. You know, we're learning about different types of leathers, and the whole thing just changes the whole time, you know. We're writing wiki posts about different things in our industry. Everything changes. products change, certain chemicals get banned that you can't use, and you're almost back to the drawing board to redesign your products, because it's like, it's not going to work now.
Yeah.
Chemical's been banned,
Yeah.
We've now got to try to find something that's going to substitute that to make this product work how it did before, so we're up against the clock to sort of get that with what products we've got running through to use before the legislation comes in and bans something, so we've then got to reformulate chemicals and reformulate products to make them work again, and that's what we're doing as a company, and putting all that money and effort into R&D and stuff. And people don't realize the sort of effort that goes into that side of it, like with the training that a detailer has to go into, with the thousands of man hours that you put in over the years, and the money, the thousands of pounds that you spend on investment on training. And the days of like Boy Scouts with a bucket and a sponge have gone. People realize now that there's better things out there.
I'd be horrified if the Boy Scouts came to my door with a bucket sponge.
They still do, though. I mean, that's how they used to do it years ago. They'd come along with Bob, bucket with
I think I would just give them the money to go away.
Yeah. Here you go, boys. Here's some money. Just put it to the electricity in the hut and go away. Have a great day.
Yeah, 100%. Here, just take it. Leave the car alone.
Take it and run. A house down the road could do your services. And then go to the door. Do you need your car valeting? Had anybody round lately? Yeah. So, I can help remove your scratches.
Yeah.
It's all fun. Obviously, with you having a job, and obviously it's a job that's obviously quite an important job, being in the medical side of things. And obviously you're doing the detailing, I would imagine, on evenings and weekends. And I mean, summertime, I'd imagine you're working even more. Obviously, that sort of creates unnecessary stress that you could probably do without. And it creates that sort of work life sort of that you've got to try to balance between, obviously, your partner's for girl, own lad. And obviously you and your partner. How does that sort of affect your mental health, and how do you deal with that?
Well, it's like a conflict of interest all the time. So I look at my detailing business as being my mental getaway and my stress reliever. However, because that's taken away from other free time, it also creates some stress with her indoors, So what I get is, you've another car booked in this weekend, and blah blah blah. When are we going to spend time doing things? And and my argument is, well, hold on, you're able to operate your sideline business by social media all day, every day.
Yes,
I can literally only operate my business in my free time.
Exactly,
which is also our free time. So I do have to juggle things a bit, and it does cause a few arguments here and there. So my stress-free environment becomes stressed sometimes, and there's nothing I can do about it other than just try and balance as best I can. And with my regular job, I have to do an on-call period, which is once every 5 weeks. And that means I am on call 24 hours a day for 7 days, basically from Saturday to a Saturday. However, I will have already worked a Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5, the week on the run up to that. So I'm working 12 days in a row, sort of non-stop. So then at the end of that 12 days, I'm sitting thinking, going, great, I'm off this weekend. I'll get a few cars booked in. When she's sitting thinking, going, great, you've just finished your on-call week. What are we going to do? And so it is a big playoff. And as I say, sometimes I just need the mental space to just go ahead and do what I want to do. And I really should cut back some certain times when I don't, and vice versa, So
I think with it, it's I've sort of we've been there and done that, and almost sort of a point of divorce because of working too hard. And I don't mean that lightheartedly. I mean that actually fact. And and you've got to learn to sort of, I mean, because at the end of the day, we only live once. And I know there's people out there that believe that there's life after that sort of thing, but I'm not a believer in that. I think once you've gone, you've gone. And that's it. I can't imagine me living another 50 years when I'm maybe 80 years old and I can hardly walk or stand up or whatever. You know, I can't imagine that sort of restarting, but you've got to create those memories for life, you know, and that's what life is about. You know, it's such a short period. And it's like the saying sort of goes, you have a start date and end date, and in the middle, there's this little dash, and you've got to make the most of that little dash in the middle. So I think sometimes you've got to maybe put some time aside, because it's amazing how quick and how fast time goes.
Oh, I know.
My two girls grow so quick, and I'm like, I wanted to go and push them on the swings, and like, Dad, we're 21, 24. You're not pushing me on a swing anymore. This is embarrassing. And I'm like, you know what? I miss that. So I mean, I know you've not got that with, you know, with your partner's 4 girls and your lad, but you still got that with your partner, you know, to have that enjoyment. And I think trying to find that sort of balance to work together might probably work even better for you for your sideline business, which might give you that strength that you need from your partner to take that plunge one day to go it alone as well.
Yeah, and that would be her ideal scenario, would be that that would be okay if I could do detailing Monday to Friday, you know, and just give up my regular job. Then I'd be on call, and then I wouldn't be doing this, and I would be doing that. I also wouldn't be earning 35 grand a year. That's the only problem, you know. So it's a big jump, and you know, you're right about time. Time flies by.
So
you know,
fast,
my partner, she's called Caroline too, and you know, we've been on and off since 28 years nearly. You know, I met her when she was 14, and you know, we went out with each other, then we didn't, then we went out with each other, then we, you know, and it just literally went on for years and years, on and off. And but now we're together, we're settled, and you know, our intention was to get married in what year? Now I have to think. We were wanting to get married in Jamaica in October of 2020. And we couldn't go, you know, because I had always said I'd been married. We'd both been married before, you know, and I'd always said I'd never ever do it again. So she, you know, never expected that we ever would. And I just said, sure, we might as well. You know, we're determined we're going to stay together now, and that's that. So we made all the plans, and because of COVID, then we couldn't go, and it was so disheartening. And then we thought, we'll reschedule it. So we changed it and rescheduled it to May of 2021 to get married in Mauritius. And it got cancelled as well.
Well, our eldest daughter, she was supposed to be getting married in like November 20. And obviously COVID, you know, sort of buggered all that up. And then she went to rebook for the following year, and they're like, not a chance. It'll have to be 2022. And it's just so frustrating, you know, and it's, and it, you know, but they'd printed everything.
I know.
Everything. But the thing is, with them, you know, we bought like a few years ago, we bought like a laser engraving business, which we gave to them and, you know, to her and Chris, you know, a boyfriend, husband to be, and as sort of like an engagement sort of present sort of thing. And they run that business. So they literally spent thousands of pounds creating all these special little bespoke gifts that were all lasered out, you know, and it's just such a shame, because it was almost like so disheartening, because everything sort of went to waste with it, and it all got sort of ruined, you know. And it's just one of those things.
I know it's so disheartening, though, you know, when you work yourself up to something and then pulled away from underneath it, you know.
You just got to sort of, you know, get back up there and, you know, sort of get on with it, and try to sort of carry on, you know, and be focused on what you're doing, you know, and try to look forward to the next new date. And
well, we haven't set one. We kind of thought we'll not book anything, so we're not disappointed again. We'll just wait until things kind of get back to some kind of normality.
Just nip over to Gretna and just do it like that. And
well, to be fair, I mean, we could have got married here or wherever, but we didn't really want to do that. We wanted to get married abroad, and basically we didn't want anybody else being there, you know, for everybody's dinner. But no, we just thought if we can get married away, then we could holiday.
Somewhere on a nice sort of beach with blue sea, and
we holiday. So that's what, you know, that's what is our sort of escape from everything. And with COVID and all for the last couple of years, we haven't really been able to go away anywhere. And it's been horrendous, you know. So
it's not been great for a lot of people, to be fair.
No.
Great for a lot of people. So I mean, what's your favorite car you've worked on?
Oh, favorite car I've worked on? That's a good question too.
Or even one you'd like.
Probably a friend of mine has, I can't tell you what year it is because I'm not entirely sure, a 1275 GT Mini.
Yep.
I think it might be a 72. I can't remember. Wow. But it's like brand new. You know, he's one of these guys where I think he's had it. His dad bought it originally.
Yeah.
So he's owned it from brand new, and it just was bought and put away into a shed.
Wow.
And it never really seen much light of day. There was about 800 miles on it, and it was shoved into a barn, and it never came out. And then when his dad passed, then obviously he wasn't really even aware of the car. You know, it was kind of hidden.
Yeah.
They were clearing out stuff into the barn. It literally was a barn find. You know, it was one of those things. You go, oh God, I remember my dad bought the car. I didn't think he still had it.
My God. So it's single-stage paint then?
A single-stage paint, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So again, that makes it very interesting with obviously any correction work that you do, because I mean that, you know, obviously paint's coming off there straight away. It's not like modern stuff. So again, that's quite a skill to sort of deal with that.
Yeah.
Obviously with paint depth gauges and stuff. I mean, it's quite a skill to sort of do that.
Do you know what? It wasn't even that bad condition. It just had been obviously paint sitting for a long time. It was just oxidized, whatever else. But the car is in fab condition. You know, there wasn't any mold inside it. There was nothing. The interior was just dusty, if anything. But yeah, it was a real dream to work on, like, you know, and that's probably been one of my favorites so far.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, an interesting one, definitely. But again, you know, that's where you could get, you know, your training, and you go from single stage paint like that on that classic Mini, you know, to like a modern paint.
A Tesla that's barely got any.
Sorry?
A Tesla that's barely got any.
Exactly. Yeah. Or what paint it does have, but we won't even go there, or whether the door line up or anything like that. And it's so-called vegan leather. I mean, how you could have two most stupidest words together, vegan and leather, I really don't understand. Why they don't just call it plastic and be done with it, because that's what it is. Anyway. You know, and that's it. But why you would want to say vegan leather? I really don't know. It's like saying I want a pork sausage.
It's like vegan sausage. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the sausage smells like pork, tastes like pork, looks like a pork sausage, but it's veggie. Now, what's veggie sausage then? You know what I mean? It's just like, but don't. Esther, we better not go on that one, because I'll go on a tangent.
No.
Vegan. No. I mean, I'm all for people having a cause, but it's like, obviously with the vegan leather side of things, I mean, again, obviously leather is natural, biodegradable. Vegan leather is petrochemicals from crude oil, plastics, etc., etc. You know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Vegan leather safer for the environment? Nah.
Yeah.
Methane in a cow lasts 100 years in our environment. Methane from plastic, 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So one of those stupidity things. But again, that's where training comes in. You know, with your single stage paint there on your Mini, compared to, I mean, somebody could have got that car off him if they didn't know you. They could have ruined that thing.
Oh yeah,
literally.
Well, he was talking about having to go at it himself first. You know?
Blimey. Yeah, certainly wise not to, definitely, especially when you don't know what you're doing with it anyway. That, you know, certainly is. I
think he probably would have blitzed it with a rotary and a wheel pad of some kind, you know.
Yeah, just gone straight through it.
Yeah.
And then you've lost that originality to it, whereas now it's all original.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of, it's got so much, it's worth so much more being so original. That's the thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it's back in the barn again.
Is it? They're not driving it.
I think he's scared to take it out. I don't think he wants to drive it anymore. It's good. Even now, I think it's got less than 3,000 miles on it. It's like a brand new car, and it just sits around and doesn't really do anything.
Less than 3,000 miles.
Yeah, it never went anywhere. I mean, when his father bought it, he probably drove it about a mile.
Oh my God!
Back to church at the weekend, and then parked it up, and it didn't go out anywhere. So it was really, really low mileage. And his biggest fear is that if somebody knew where it was, it could just take it.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, you know, and it would be away, and what a loss it would be, you know.
Yeah, exactly. With all that history, that low mileage.
Yeah, wow. A barn thing like that with like little or no mileage on it. It's like just a brand new car.
That's like a dream, almost. Like, wow, less than 3,000 miles. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All original as well. That's something. Yeah, that's quite a privilege to work on something like that.
Yeah, well, it was a learning curve. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely a learning curve. Certainly, definitely.
Yeah, I think the seats in it were pretty plasticky. Let's just put it that way. Like,
yeah.
There's no leather involved in it.
No, definitely no, not back in those days. I mean, well, there's quite a fair bit of leather around them, but a lot of the minis. I mean, it's very rare the minis had leather anyway. To be fair,
no,
most of them were plastic or fabric anyway. So, or plastic with a fabric insert even. So, I mean, it's very, very rare that minis ever had leather in them, even in, you know, the original one. So, very, very rare indeed.
Yeah, very
rare. So, obviously, with your studio that you got at home, you know, do you have like lifts and stuff like that, or is it just you not bother with lifts? Or
no, do you know what? I wouldn't have room for a lift, to be fair. I mean, if I put the lift in, then I would struggle for room. So no, I try to go without the lift if I can, until such times as I maybe move to a bigger unit. But finding one is it's really difficult to find somewhere. You know, you look at units and a lot of them just straight away say no mechanics, no car washes, you know, all this kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
And again, that's a learning curve. You know, you've got to go and speak to a landlord and say, look, I'm not actually washing cars. I might wash it, but then it's going inside, and it, you know, it's a totally different environment when you have it inside to get more. And I think a lot of them are reluctant because, you know what happens whenever somebody says, I'm washing cars.
Yeah, exactly.
They you have 50 cars around the road, you know, charging a $5 go, you know, so
that's what they're thinking. Yeah, it's like $5 a hand car wash and queues around, whatever. Yeah. I mean, have you like considered like farms where you can get, because obviously it's different sort of laws so far as water running off.
Yeah, I mean, there's a farm about 300 yards up the road from where I am on the corner, and I know there is a mechanic on site there. He has a unit. I don't know if there's any other units available around it, and possibly somewhere further on out the road that is an old, a very old industrial estate, like sort of a wartime era industrial estate. A lot of old buildings there. Some of them are taken up with various different businesses, and I'm not sure if there's any of them are empty, but I do keep driving past going, I wonder. But I don't know who owns them, or, you know, so it's going to have to try and find out and see.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, definitely. Closing question. What would you do differently if you were starting out fresh today that you didn't know when you first started?
I'd probably have saved more money up before I started, so I could have all the equipment I needed at the time.
And training.
Training, yeah. I mean, just having money set aside for all of the things that you need, you know, even just for a startup, you know, all of it is an investment, and you know yourself, it's quite a lot of money once you start counting up. You know, once you, like, buying chemicals is not the expensive part of your business. You know, it's buying your machines and you know, machines and steam cleaners, you know, going through vacuum cleaners till you find one that's good and works for a longer period of time.
Or break down, and then you got to replace it. And
I mean, it's all that. You know, the chemical side of it is fairly standardized. You know, you just buy what you're happy with, and is probably as budget friendly as you can manage. You know, for whatever product you want to use. You know, say it's just your big outlay. The big ticket items are a fairly immediate outlay, you know, and
exactly.
You can't. It's like a chicken and egg. You can't carry on without those items. but you need to be able to have the money put aside already for those items before you start. So yeah, I mean, if anything, I think that's probably I would maybe have thought things out a little bit better just before making the jump, but it's worked out okay. I mean, I can't really complain that much, and as time goes by, more equipment is also an investment, like your training would be. You just carry on fitting the bill for it.
Right now, I mean, machines obviously aren't cheap, and I mean, again, that's where the public need to understand.
Yeah,
you can buy one machine and you may be £500 if you're buying a good quality machine. Whether it's Flex or it's Rupes, by the time you've got the machines that you need, you maybe got 4 or 5 different machines. You're into several thousands of pounds just for the machines. That's without the pads or anything else before you can start beginning. And then, like you say, you start getting into commercial steamers, another £1,000 gone there, for a good quality commercial steamer. And, you maybe need 1 or 2 hoovers, and wash vacs and everything else. And you could have easily have spent anywhere between 5 and 10 grand.
Yeah.
You even opened your door.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how quickly that bill adds up, and the thing is, things don't last forever either.
No, I know. And, unless, and this is my, my circumstance is that obviously because I'm part-time, I can only physically do so much and earn so much to help pay for those items. And so the rest of it then is me fitting that bill out of my own pocket. So, you're juggling from one hand to the other. I have to be able to afford that out of my own pay, so because you sort of need those things before you're doing the job. So, once you've paid for it, then the job pays, and then you go, right, now I can pay that part off. But as you say, the cost of equipment is expensive. I mean, I'm running 4 polishers at the minute.
Exactly.
I've Rupes, I've a Flex PXE80 for smaller work. I've got a virtual rotary, and I've got a DAS 6, a range of, all that stuff's nearly £1,500 more probably for the polishers. As you say, people don't realize. You just think, you're just polishing the car.
Exactly.
Just car.
And I guess it's obviously with you working full time as well. I mean, obviously it's like you were saying there about that sort of balance there of like getting the machine, can't do it without it, can't earn the money without it.
In
an egg sort of situation, what comes first? And I guess I guess it's like with the training, like you were saying earlier about doing the training and nipping over to Allen's or wherever, over to SB3 or whatever to do the training with Johnny Hamill there. And it's you get your holidays from your work, and obviously your partner thinks, great, we're going to have a week off, and you're all of a sudden like, nope, I'm on a plane over there. So obviously, again, is that balance that you've got to try to create. So you really juggling it there, and hat off, because obviously it's working, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it stays working for you. And, you get that break that you want, you make that, you get that plunge, you go for it, you get the support from your partner, and, and you make it a complete success, because you will earn far more than 35,000 if you just take that plunge. And it's just getting it's just getting the timing right and doing it, and you will never look back. And it's just, there's so many people in that position that just don't want to quite do it. And it's just, it's having the confidence in yourself to say, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to fail. I'm going to win. Get that mindset. I'm going to win, and you will do it. Very, very simple. And there's people out there to support you, like I was saying at the beginning, and you've just got to ask for that support. And those guys, there's thousands of detailers out there that will give you the support. And it's just, don't ever get to that point where you sort of like start thinking, I'm going to lower my price. I'm going to lower my price, because that's when people start thinking, why is he doing that? Because he charged me that before. This guy's ripping me off now. So that has the adverse effect on it. So you just got to bear that in mind. It's sometimes being cheap isn't always the best. It's, and it can have that adverse effect on it. But you will do it. You'll get there, and you can do it. You just got to have the faith in yourself and know that you're going to get the support from your partner to do it, and know that you're going to go through a rough period to do it. And you've got to stay strong through that rough period, because you will get them, and that's the truth. You will get it. And you just got to be prepared for that. And that, I think, comes down to what you were saying at the beginning about my last question is, what would you do to prepare? Is have that fund.
Yeah.
Get that fund, put that fund on one side. So when you take that plunge, when you get to that rough period, you're not going to face it because you've got that fund there to help you go through that rough period.
Yeah.
And I think that is what I was saying right at the beginning. That's part of that planning that you've got to do, that roadmap, create that fund, get that fund ready so that when you take the plunge, you've got it there, you're not going to suffer.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And that's what you've got to do.
I'm trying not to keep buying more stuff because it spends your fund.
But yeah, you can fall into that trap as well. And I mean, I've got machines I don't even use, so I can't talk. And I want that machine, and then the wife's like, "But you don't use it." But I want it. But you're not use it. No, that. But then why do you want it? Well, it's a spare.
Just because.
Yeah, no, it's just because. And it's like, she's like, "You're not going to use it, are you?" I'm like, "Probably not." You never know. It looks a nice machine. That doesn't earn you money just because it looks nice. So, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and I think you've got to learn to utilize what you've got, and I think that's where that roadmap comes in for you. But I think if you can get that fund set aside, which is what you were saying there with my last question, is when you set up was to have maybe had more money put on one side. I think now is the time to start putting that money on one side. I mean, it's like that's what made us survive through lockdown. We had a rainy day fund. We have two funds. We have a rainy day fund, and then we have what we call a storm fund, which if the rainy day fund ends, we dip into the really stormy fund. And luckily because of lockdown, we flourished. We didn't have to dip into any of them. And that was just very fortunate because everybody was at home going mad cleaning. To us, it helped us enormously, and we're eternally grateful for that. And I know there's a lot of people out there that suffered through lockdown. I mean, I got friends that did as well, and they lost businesses and things, which was heartbreaking for them, because they lost houses, they lost everything. And no matter how much we could help them, we couldn't save them, because they were too far in. But I think if you have that fund there, then you're not going to fail with it because you've got that as your backup.
Yeah.
That's the thing to do, mate.
Well, I'll have to pass that with the powers of be at home,
Exactly.
Yeah, by the way, the savings you want for a wedding.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't say that. It's nothing to do with me. It wasn't me that conducted this interview. I didn't suggest using your wedding funds, but maybe have another fund.
If I'd be allowed.
Well, you might end up with something chopped off if you start saying that. That's the end of meeting two veg mates. So
yeah,
definitely. So there you go. So yeah, like I said, easy, wasn't it? So
yeah,
that was the people. How do people find you? Social media. What social media? Tell us how they find you, email or whatever, social media links, links all that sort of thing.
On Facebook, SGE Detailing on Instagram.
Yep.
SGE Detailing, if you Google it, you'll find it. It'll probably take you to my Facebook page, to be fair. Email Stuart Elliott 2000 at btinternet.
Okay.
.com.
Good. So yeah, so easy. So SGE Detailing, that's how they find you on Facebook and on Instagram.
Yeah.
And obviously you'll do most things.
I do most things, yes. Not all, but most, yes. I don't do 3 and 5 year ceramic coatings or anything like that just yet. But
but it's something you're leading up to.
That's for the new unit when I get it.
Exactly. I like the confidence there. See, you're already planning it. You've got it. You're just planning it already. I like it. And get that rainy day fund, get it sorted. So that when you take the plunge, you've got that fund. Don't take the wedding fund, whatever you do. Get another one built up. So that's now you see, you got to say to the wife, now if you want me to do this full time, you got to start working a bit harder with your
my suggestion was that if she just worked hard enough, I wouldn't have to work at all.
There you go, you see. That's a better idea, like, isn't it? So but get her working a bit harder with what she's doing, and then I can build up that rainy day fund, and then you can say, right, I can take the plunge now.
Yeah. No, that's actually a good plan.
There you see, and then when you take the plunge, you say, "That's I'm going to be your packer boy now, and I'm not going to do the detailing anymore." So you do such a great job of earning us money. It's brilliant.
I know. I would just have to do my own cars, and even at that, sure, it's just like, get you out there washing them cars again,
I know. Yeah, we're always doing that, washing cars. But there you go.
Yeah.
There we go. So that was another episode of Totally Detailed with Stuart Elliott from SGE Detailing over there in Ireland. Thank you very much, Stuart. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and having you on. It's been an honor to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Richard. Thanks.
You're very welcome.